In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make powerful pop music. And to do that, I remade Slow It Down by Benson Boone, and I'll break down my remake of the song's elements, the sounds of those elements, the mixing, the structure and arrangement, all that jazz. So hopefully by the end of this tutorial, you can make a song in a similar powerful pop music style to this one. Set the tempo around 180 BPM, start off by making some background synth chords. These are just going to be filling up the background of the loud, powerful guitars that we're going to make later, but this is the only pattern in the song that uses these full chords, so that's why I just showed you just to make these chords over here like this. Very simple, 2 bars each. If you need help making chords, a good resource for that is chordchord.com, not a sponsor. And for the synth sound, I used a Vital preset from MHA's Vital Sound Bank Volume 3, just a simple synth stack sound. And for the mixing, all I put on there is this EQ over here, taking out a great chunk of the lows, just because we're going to make a very prominent bass later, and we don't want the unneeded lows of the synth to counteract with that and make it sound muddy and weird in the mix. So that's why I did that over here, and then just toning down a little bit of the highs as well, just to muffle down the synth sound a tiny bit, just so that we could fit it in the background more, so that the highs don't pierce through the mix and make it sound weird in the mix. It just helps to fit it more in the background. Next, chop up those chords into a piano. These are just the same exact chords from earlier, just with some variation in the bass notes over here, just to kind of give it a little groove and a jazzy feel with the piano and the organ sounds. This will be used in the verse. And don't go too crazy with like this little variation in the bass notes over here. See, it's like constant, very constant throughout the entire thing. And then I just made a little variation over here and over here, just like a couple, 2 or 3 notes at the end, just to give it a little bouncy, jazzy feel. And for the sounds of those chords, I use this piano preset from Flex and this organ preset from Flex as well. And for the mixing, I put on the same exact EQ from earlier for the same exact reasons for the lows, but I boosted a little bit the highs as well, just so that we hear that more in the mix, because these sounds are going to stand out more in the mix as opposed to that synth sound where we put it in the background. So that's why we want to hear it a little more in the mix for this. Next, take those chopped chords and put it into a loud, distorted guitar. These are the same exact chopped chords, just with longer note lengths, so that the guitar has more of a powerful chugging feel, and without the variance in the bass notes over here, just because it would make it sound weird and messy with this type of guitar. So just these simple chords chopped up like this. And for the sounds of those chords, I used this guitar preset from Flex, another guitar preset from Flex, yet another guitar preset from Flex, and a piano sound from Flex as well. So this piano is just for some extra background support for these guitars over here. And for the sounds of these guitars, just aim for a regular electric sounding VST. It doesn't have to sound too realistic, because we're going to distort the hell out of this thing. So just anything that sounds kind of like an electric guitar will work. And for the mixing, same exact reason, taking out all those lows over there on this EQ. And then here's where the magical sauce comes in with this fast dist over here. Playing the sounds individually, I left it off just so that you can hear it, but this is what it sounds like with it on. Very loud, very distorted. And the purpose of this is just to create that powerful pop music feel, just really getting in there with that powerful nature. Next, take the bass notes of those chords and put it into some bass presets. I recommend just doing the bass notes from the little variants that you made with the chopped chords from earlier, just because it makes the bass a little more lively when you put it into a bass sound in the mix. So when you make the chords, just construct them where the bass notes are on the bottom like this, which is just the root notes of what these chords actually are, and put them into a bass that sounds something along the lines of this. As you hear, it has that like gliding jazzy feel that you got with those chords from earlier as well. Just enlivens the bass a little bit. For the sounds of this bass, go for something along the lines of like an electric or acoustic sounding bass guitar. I have this bass guitar preset from Flex and this bass guitar preset from Flex over here as well. And for the mixing, I put this Fruity Blood overdrive on here, but it's not really for distortion, even though it's like a distortion plugin. It's mainly just to really amplify and strengthen the bass sound in the mix. For the verse and the chorus, it's the same exact bass that plays throughout, just to really elevate that bass sound overall. Now for the drums, lots of loud acoustic sounding kicks and snares. I have this kick over here, layered with this kick over here. This one has all the power, when this one really just focuses on the texture. I have this snare over here, layered with this snare over here. Both very powerful and acoustic sounding. And I put them into a pattern that sounds like this. Just a simple on every beat type of pattern with this crash down here, which helps to introduce these drums for the chorus. But for the verse, I took one kick and one snare. It doesn't matter which one, just make sure that you're only choosing one of them. I put them in the same pattern as before, but with this hi-hat in there as well, just to kind of introduce the powerful drums for the chorus later. Very simple, nothing too crazy. And for the mixing, for the same reason as the bass, I put this Fruity Blood overdrive on here, but with the main knob turned up a little bit more, just so that we really get a more powerful feel with these drums. You really want these to be blasting and standing out in the mix. Now for the structure and arrangement of this track. So I kind of broke this track up into two parts over here. We have a verse or pre-chorus or whatever over here, and then we have the full chorus over here like this. So for the verse, you start off with just the chop piano, the bass, and then that hi-hat version of the drum loop from earlier, and then transitioning to the chorus, you want the most powerful elements that we have. We had the distorted guitar, the background synth to elevate that guitar, the same bass from earlier, and the full powerful version of the drum loop without the hi-hat, just with the layering of the kicks and the snares to really punch that in. Make sure you introduce every 2 bars of the chorus with a crash as well. Here's what the full structure of the track looks like over here, and after all that, here's the final result.